Hi, welcome to Texas Lone Wolf, Mig Howe, your source for Red Pill Truth. Today we are going to talk about abusive bosses in the workplace. Yes. Abusive bosses in the workplace. So I'm going to use fictitious names to hide the identity of the parties involved. So, the parties involved back in the 1990s wanted to be like everyone, get a job, go to work and get paid, do all kinds of stuff. All right. At a workplace, the employee got dogged, abused mentally, psychologically, emotionally, verbally, screamed at, kept caged in the job site till 3 o'clock in the morning, mopping floors, having 3 managers barking orders. It was Sheila, Gracie, and Hilario barking orders till 3 in the morning at an employee named Scott. Calling him all kinds of names in the book. Threatening to fire him if he didn't pick up speed. You name it. Scott took a lot of abuse. It was horrible. Scott never seen so many people get hired and then fired repeatedly. The workplace was so toxic. There's not a word Scott can't describe, okay? So, fast forward, Scott got a job at another pizza place. Someone named Pate decides that, hey, I need this sauce bucket's done. I need this to this spec. Please bring it back. Scott goes, does it. Yeah, you know what? Pate goes, I told you to do this, and you wouldn't listen. Pate had a bad habit of bad-mouthing employees, telling them to do something. When they go do it, he would turn around and badger them with verbal abusive words. It was totally uncalled for. So Pate called Scott to the office. He said, what can I do to get to know you better? Scott says, first of all, if you quit bad-mouthing and talking down employees and getting to know them, you would be respected. Yeah, see? He would be respected. Pate got called in office many times by the boss above him, by the GM. Finally, Pate put in his 2-week notice and went to his former state that he resided in. Yeah, it was pretty bad. Abusive bosses bring down worker morale. Let's go ahead and talk about this. Just remember, in the working world, everybody's replaceable. So I'm going to go ahead and do this. I'm going to grab some stories out of Quora. All right? And some bosses don't realize that employees they hire is trying to do the best they can with what they got. Sometimes pride and arrogance steps in the way, and the boss pulls out the boss card and screams and threatens to fire because they can't get their way. So, anyways, employees don't deserve abuse. There are laws in place to protect the employees. And if you're a GM listening to this and you abuse employees, shame on you. Just remember, there's somebody bigger and badder than the law, the employee regulations, the employees, and your superior. There's somebody bigger and better than they are. Her name is Karma. She'll pay you a visit. Most bosses, they pull out their boss card. They think they can just go around breaking regulations, breaking company policies, saying that the guidelines or the book is law. Tell employees to do something and turn around and scream and belittle them, gaslight them, threaten to send them home if they do what he said. Some people don't know what they have till it's gone. So let's go over Cora. Now, Laura Bailey wrote this. 5 years ago. She wrote this in 2018. I asked myself that question. I worked for a woman who was nothing more of a tyrant. Scott worked for a tyrant. At one time. It was bad. So, I had to come up of being employed and working at various staffing companies. Needed a job. I was finally happy working full-time again. This was a company that had a lot of potential. Came with a lot of benefits of Silicon Valley. That was in California, Silicon Valley. However, I didn't sign up for the verbal abuse and temper tantrums, along with my boss snubbing her nose at me every chance she got. They out there. I felt inferior. Well, see, snubbing a nose, verbal abuse, temper tantrum does destroy employee morale. Okay? It destroys the morale of an employee. And to the a female manager who pulls her boss card out all the time, she's replaceable. So is employees. And defensive second guess almost everything I did. I needed the money, but at what cost? I'm pretty sure the former employee needed therapy or psychological section to work through the abuse the boss put her through. I also realized working in this environment was a pattern for me. It was like a bad relationship that keeps repeating itself. Remember, any employees listening to this podcast, if a boss is pulling the boss card, treating you like crap, abusing you verbally, leave. You deserve better than that. And she wrote, I had took a look, honest look at myself, see how I allow people to treat me in the workplace. I was a hard worker, dependable, knowledgeable, ambitious, and loyal. Somehow these traits were being recognized. Well, to the employee who has all these traits not being recognized, leave that tyrant boss. That tyrant boss needs to be fired and jailed and thrown in the penitentiary as a registered sex offender and labeled that way. Maybe they'll correct their little tyrant behavior. So, for whatever reason my boss behaved the way she did, I was allowed to continue. Clearly she felt superior and entitled to bully me until I sat her down in her office. And I was an easy target. Alright? So, several months since I called for a meeting, we sat down and told her I felt disrespected by her behavior. I told her I worked very hard, was committed to the growth of the company, that held the same vision towards a successful product launch. Told her that I expect to be treated with respect and decency. Amen to that, to the employee who wrote this. She looked at me a bit stunned and then completely relaxed and profusely apologized. The apology ain't going to change it. You need to change your damn behavior. To the manager that's listening to the podcast. Change your goddamn behavior. People will treat you with respect that you're entitled to. And you turn around and give them respect back. Respect's a two-way street, not a one-way street. 2 weeks later, I quit because she fell back to her bullying tactics. However, I left on my terms with the job lined up, giving her enough notice to find a replacement. I left with the same integrity when I started, only I wasn't victimized and didn't suffer through the process. Having stood up for myself gave me a tremendous amount of confidence. I learned that my skill set resume was not enough. I wanted to work in a fulfilling environment. Valuing myself and showing boundaries I set, speaking up against any sort of disrespect, I was let go for the need to be needed. My voice enough, skills were enough. My genuine enthusiasm was contagious. Likes attract like, and I never worked for a bully again. Amen. So remember, there's a lot of bosses out there who think they could treat employees like crap, but fail to realize they won't give that dedication and someone who knows what the heck they're doing. Anyway, let's go back to the story. Pate had to run the ovens. You know, he got his karma back. He got backed up, put the pizzas in the wrong box. You name it. Pate got backed up. He got confused. But he had to turn around and jump on an employee that his health was suffering and make verbal threats. He paid for it with his own medicine. And here, we're going to read this story right here. And notice, if you ever suffer at the hand of a boss who pulls a boss card and screams and bullies you, get out of that work environment. To the employee that I'm talking to, get out of that work environment. You are valuable. Remember, nobody will appreciate you until they see you're absent. You are worthy. Remember that. Do they really know how much they stand to lose if you leave? How much it will cost them to replace you with several employees? The expensive blunders why they knew and high price of bad coordination between them. If they don't take a month of sick leave anyway, you need it because of the abuse. And then when you start come back asking for frequent raises until you reach the salary that would make this hell tolerable for you, not less than a month, they pile up a mess for your return without learning from the experience. Well, you don't have to take that mess off that employer. Remember that. To avoid a mistake in turn, you can't take in one more minute, resign in a moment of desperation and nothing in your hand, or get fired for answering back. You have to take control of your situation, conduct yourself according to your plan at all times. This is for at-will states that you live in. Depending on the work laws where you are, you could record the abuse on your phone, sue for damages to your life and career later if there are any. This is practical advice, but if you're unconsciously fighting with childhood authority figures like this, of course, therapy or self-help materials can do wonders. Well, therapy can do wonders. Also, leave your abusive employer behind. You're not tied to them. So, and the dispatcher who dispatches school bus drivers was abusing people. He got fired. So, here's the retail management, 5 years. So, remember, you don't deserve to be abused. I hate to answer question with question, however, felt compelled to do so. There are some details given, so this helps. Do you do your job? If you say yes, not hers, but yours is defined, or things which okay. Yes, Scott has to deal with this mess. And I'm just going to let you know, if you're the employee taking abuse from your boss, leave. Clock out, leave. Be done with it. So, are they worth working for? Most of the time, this often happen in fast food industries. So, yeah, there you go. You got it. So I'm just going to go ahead and put this up. So you need to understand that narcissistic bullying happens more often than, it can actually wreck everything. So I'm not gonna read this. It's got slur in it. And employers who treat their employees like crap don't realize they're committing a felony, a discrimination. Discrimination against the employee. That you can go to jail for this. And you can go to jail for this. Did you know that? So if you're on some kind of a government benefit program, and it just is what it is, and I'm telling you, they can go to jail for this. Boss can go to jail for this. They can be fired. They can go to jail. All right, I'm going to go ahead and take this off. And so yeah, you can go. They can be detained and arrested. So yeah. I tell you what, you go to prison and talk down to people and kick people, they will detain you. So, I mean, it's bad. And if HR would not help you, excuse me, if HR doesn't want to help you, then quit. In at will, at will workplace, you look at HR the wrong way, they fire you. And HR, you can't trust them. So yeah. So anyways, an abusive boss can make workplace miserable for anyone, prompting defiant employees to retaliate or flee. New research co-authored by Huey Lau at University of Maryland, Robert H. L. Smith School of Business show a third option. Targets humiliation, intimidation, verbal attacks, and balance of dynamics over time, and influence supervisor and men's strange relationships. Lau said, A follower has more power than he or she might realize. A follower. In other words, a subordinate employee has more power than the boss. They don't realize they have it. So the bullies rely on imbalance of power in their favor. So yeah. Subordinate can decrease his or her independence on the supervisor sending a message. I don't need you as much as you think. It's not in a, yeah. The second option tend to work better in terms of influence supervisors stop abusive behavior and mend the relationship. It hinges on the follower's ability to show consequence of mistreatment, determines the supervisor understand reconciliation serves the supervisor's best interests. So yeah, they could get together and mend the broken bridges, but rarely that happens. When this happens, the leader is more likely to regard the abused follower as someone who is instrumental to his pursuit of goals and resources, resulting not only reduction in future abuse. I don't believe that, but because the thing is, the employers who abuse employees often are not caught. That's pretty sad. And here you go. Abuse of power example. Constantly reminding an employee that they could be fired or replaced. Humiliating an employee in front of his colleagues. Forcing the employee to work overtime multiple times a week without additional pay. Boss mistreating employee when he or she is in a bad mood. I don't care, employer, manager, if you're listening to this. If you take it out on the employee because you're in a bad mood, shame on you. Take your little fundillo to the therapy session. Go get therapy. All right? Condescending reaction to employees' question. Wow. In other words, you're talking down to employees. Wow, that's wrong. Constantly shifting the blame to employees for their own incompetency. So if the manager screws up, you just blame it on the employees, like Social Security blames their mistakes on the beneficiary recipients. Shame on those in high offices. Shame on you. Withholding critical information from an employee that he or she needs to know. That's wrong. Putting personal interest in before the company. Wrong. Enforcing company policies, rules on others without following them. That's double standard. So you know what? If you find yourself being abused by a boss, get the Labor Department involved. Get the State Department of Labor involved. Contact the media. Put them on TV. If they say, well, all you got to do is talk to us, nah. You get more stuff done by putting the bad boys out in the open, let the other people see them for who they are. Bullies. So yeah. This actually happens. Wow. Both sides lose when bully happens. Look at the graph right here. I'm gonna put all these the articles in the description box. Yeah, workplace abuse happens more often than what people think. And it happens in fast food, it happens in factories, it happens everywhere. And to be honest with you, time's up for toxic workplaces. And I kind of like this article here. I'm going to let everybody read it. Had an interview when the manager is gaslighting their employees. So yeah, managers are often known to do this. You know what I'm saying? October 10th and 16th, National Boss Day, Mental Health Day, and all that. All right. Signs you work for an abusive boss. Micromanages and monitors your work while refusing to delegate. Pressure you to the point you feel undue stress and burnout. Make unreasonable demands in work hours, workload, deadlines. Shows unpredictable, erratic mood, so you never know what to expect. Creates a climate of fear, urgency, and tension. Manages time inefficiently, overscheduling, overcommitting you. Badmouth intimidates employees. Wow. Humiliate, bullies you with criticism, and tolerate even of your minor mistakes. Ignore high performance, shows insensitivity to your personal issues, mental health challenges. Take credit for your idea's success. That is a narcissistic boss. They need to be thrown into penitentiary and labeled a predator. Oh, I'm sorry. Not. So, you'd be surprised where this here will lead you. Anyways, thank you for listening. Hope this here actually helped you out in learning the signs of bad bosses in workplaces. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and cut this off and take care of yourself. And don't forget to like or subscribe to the channel. Peace.